Did you know the king of rock and roll could shatter solid wood planks with a swift, precise strike of his hand? Or that he personally directed the decorating of his iconic Graceland mansion, right down to the famously wild jungle room furnishings. And believe it or not, Elvis Presley was such a skilled marksman he had a shooting range built right on his property. These barely scratch the surface of the man behind the music and the movies. Forget the stage persona for a moment. Elvis contained multitudes, harboring skills and passions far removed from the spotlight's glare. Prepare to discover the surprising multifaceted man known simply as the King. Number 8. He was a devoted horseman. Long before the white jumpsuits and Vegas residencies, Elvis Presley nurtured a deep affection for horses. This wasn't just a casual interest, it was a genuine passion that provided him solace and escape from the pressures of global fame. Growing up poor in Tupelo, Mississippi, owning a horse was an impossible dream. But once fame and fortune arrived, Elvis made that dream a reality, not just for himself, but for those around him. He purchased his beloved ranch, the Circle G in Mississippi in 1967, a sprawling property where he could indulge his equestrian pursuits away from prying eyes. But his love for horses was most visible right at his home base, Graceland. Elvis established impressive stables on the Graceland grounds, ensuring his equine companions received the best care. He didn't just own horses. He actively rode them, often seen cantering across the pastures of his Memphis estate. One of his most cherished horses was a stunning golden palomino named Rising Sun, a gift that became a favorite mount. Riding offered Elvis a sense of freedom and normalcy. Photos and accounts from the time depict him looking relaxed and happy astride his horses, dressed casually in jeans and a shirt, a stark contrast to his flamboyant stage attire. He would often ride with family members including his wife Priscilla and daughter Lisa Marie, as well as close friends from his Memphis Mafia entourage. They'd explore the Graceland property, enjoying the simple pleasure of a trail ride. It wasn't about performance or showmanship. It was about connection with the animals and a moment of peace. He learned to handle horses competently, understanding their temperaments and needs. His staff knew that the horses were important to him, and their well-being was a priority. The presence of horses at Graceland wasn't just a status symbol. It reflected a genuine, lifelong appreciation for these magnificent creatures and the quiet joy they brought into his whirlwind life. He continued to ride throughout much of his career, finding the rhythm of the horse a calming counterpoint to the roar of the crowds. The image of Elvis on horseback, a king in his own quiet kingdom, reveals a gentler, more grounded side of the larger-than-life icon. Number 7. He had a hidden talent for mimicry. While Elvis Presley's own voice was one of the most recognizable and imitated sounds in music history, he possessed a lesser-known knack for imitating others. This wasn't something he often toqued publicly, but within his private circle, Elvis was known for his uncanny ability to mimic the voices and mannerisms of fellow performers, actors, and even members of his own entourage. It was a playful side of his personality often emerging during downtime at Graceland, in hotel suites on tour, or during breaks on movie sets. Those close to him described these moments with amusement, noting how accurate and entertaining his impressions could be. He reportedly had a repertoire of voices he could slip into. Fellow musicians were frequent targets of his good-natured mimicry. He might launch into an imitation of Dean Martin's smooth croon or Jackie Wilson's dynamic vocal stylings and stage energy. He admired many artists, and his impressions often stemmed from a place of respect and fascination with their unique talents. It wasn't just about the voice. Elvis could also capture physical characteristics and signature gestures. Imagine Elvis lounging with his friends, suddenly adopting the posture and speech patterns of a famous actor they'd seen in a movie the night before, or perhaps imitating the distinct Southern drawl or specific catchphrase of one of his Memphis Mafia buddies. These impromptu performances provided moments of levity and entertainment for his inner circle, a way for Elvis to unwind and share a laugh. This talent hinted at his keen observational skills, his ability to study people, pick up on nuances, and reconnaissance them. It was the same observational skill that likely informed his own unique performance, style blending various influences into something entirely his own. While fans rarely, if ever, got to witness this particular skill, the accounts from friends paint a picture of a man who was not only a captivating performer, but also a perceptive and often humorous observer of the world around him, capable of stepping outside his own persona to playfully inhabit others, if only for a fleeting private moment. Number 6. He was a surprisingly skilled marksman. Elvis Presley's fascination with firearms and law enforcement paraphernalia is relatively well known, often seen in photos where he proudly displays honorary police badges. But this interest went far beyond collecting souvenirs. Elvis was actually a proficient and practiced marksman. He didn't just own guns, he knew how to use them, and he used them frequently. This skill was honed through practice. Often, at a dedicated shooting range he had constructed on the grounds of his Graceland estate, tucked away behind the main house. This range provided him with a private space to safely indulge his hobby and sharpen his aim. His collection of firearms was extensive, ranging from handguns to rifles, and included several tartan pieces. He wasn't merely accumulating objects. He was interested in the mechanics and capabilities of different weapons. Friends and associates often recounted tales of Elvis's enthusiasm for target practice. Sometimes, these sessions were structured attempts at hitting distant targets with precision. Other times, they were more impulsive displays. The infamous stories of him shooting out television sets when a performer he disliked appeared on screen weren't just myths. They were occurrences witnessed by members of his entourage. While perhaps destructive, these incidents also spoke to his confidence and familiarity with firearms. He enjoyed sharing this interest with his friends, sometimes engaging in friendly shooting competitions at the Graceland range. Accounts suggest he possessed a steady hand and a good eye, capable of impressive accuracy. This skill wasn't just about recreation. It tied into his deep respect for law enforcement and his personal security concerns. He often carried a concealed weapon, viewing it as a means of protection in a world where his fame made him a constant target of attention. His proficiency with firearms was another layer to his complex personality, a combination of Southern gun culture, a fascination with symbols of authority, and a genuine skill developed through dedicated practice. It stands as a stark, somewhat jarring contrast to the gentle crooner image, revealing a man comfortable with power and precision in a very different arena than the music stage. Number 5. He was an avid interior decorator of sorts. When you think of Graceland, you likely picture some of its more flamboyant rooms: the jungle room with its green shag carpet and waterfall, the pool room draped floor to ceiling in pleated fabric, the TV room with its triple screens and bold yellow, white, and black color scheme. While professional decorators were certainly involved in executing the vision, the driving force behind Graceland's unique and often eccentric aesthetic was Elvis himself. He wasn't just the owner who signed the checks. He was actively involved in choosing themes, colors, furniture, and decor, transforming the stately southern mansion into a highly personalized, sometimes wild reflection of his own tastes and moods. Elvis approached, decorating Graceland with the same enthusiasm he brought to other passions. He didn't adhere to conventional design rules. Instead, he opted for what felt right to him, what amused him, or what created a specific atmosphere he desired. The famous Jungle Room, officially the Den, is perhaps the prime example. The story goes that he saw a particular style of carved wooden furniture with faux fur upholstery and instantly decided he wanted it, ordering the entire set. The addition of indoor plants, a stone waterfall feature, and green shag carpeting on both the floor and ceiling cemented the room's exotic, immersive theme. It became a favorite hangout spot, embodying his playful and unconventional approach to design. Similarly, the decision to cover the walls and ceiling of the basement pool room entirely in intricate folds of patterned cotton fabric, hundreds of yards of it, was a bold, almost theatrical choice that reflected his flair for the dramatic. He oversaw renovations and redecorations throughout his years at Graceland, constantly tweaking and changing spaces to suit his evolving preferences. He selected color palettes, picked out lighting fixtures, and chose the knickknacks and objets d'art that filled the rooms. Graceland wasn't designed to impress architectural critics. It was designed to be Elvis's sanctuary, his ultimate comfort zone filled with things that brought him joy or amusement. His active hand in its decoration reveals a creative impulse extending beyond music and performing a desire to shape his environment, making it uniquely and unmistakably his own, a physical manifestation of the king's singular world. Number 4. He possessed deep gospel music knowledge. While Elvis Presley brought rock and roll to the masses, his first musical love, and the genre that remained closest to his heart throughout his life, was gospel. His connection to gospel music went far deeper than just performing classics like "How Great Thou Art" or "He Touched Me." Elvis possessed an encyclopedic knowledge of gospel artists, groups, songs, and history. He grew up attending the Assembly of God Church in Tupelo, where the passionate sounds of spiritual music made an indelible impression on him. This wasn't just passive listening. He absorbed the harmonies, the rhythms, the emotional intensity, and the specific vocal stylings of the gospel quartets he idolized. Throughout his life, especially during private moments away from the demands of his career, Elvis would immerse himself in gospel music. Late-night jam sessions at Graceland, often lasting until dawn, were legendary among his friends and band members. These weren't rehearsals for his next show. They were heartfelt expressions of his love for the genre. Elvis would sit at the piano or grab a guitar, and soon the room would fill with the sounds of four-part harmony as he led his friends through countless gospel standards. He knew the repertoires of groups like the Statesman Quartet, featuring his idol Jake Hest and the Blackwood Brothers intimately. He could sing all the parts, tenor, lead, baritone, bass, and often directed his impromptu choir, calling out arrangements and harmonies. His knowledge wasn't limited to the white gospel groups he grew up with. He also had a deep appreciation for black gospel artists, like Sister Rosetta Tharpe and Mahalia Jackson, whose powerful voices and innovative styles influenced his own singing. He collected gospel records avidly and spoke with reverence about the singers and songwriters who created this powerful music. For Elvis, gospel wasn't just a style, it was a source of spiritual comfort, emotional release, and profound musical inspiration. His 3 Grammy Awards were all for gospel recordings, a fact that reportedly brought him immense personal satisfaction. This deep, abiding expertise in gospel music reveals the spiritual bedrock beneath the rock and roll phenomenon, a core influence that shaped his voice, his soul, and his enduring musical legacy. Number 3. He was a more accomplished guitarist than often credited. When Elvis exploded onto the scene, the image of him slinging an acoustic guitar became iconic. While he wasn't a technical virtuoso in the league of his lead guitarist, Scotty Moore, or later players like James Burton dismissing Elvis as someone who just used the guitar as a stage prop does a disservice to his actual abilities, especially in his early career. Elvis was a capable and influential rhythm guitarist whose playing was fundamental to the development of his revolutionary sound. He wasn't formally trained learning chords by ear and by watching other musicians in Memphis, but he developed a distinctive percussive style that blended country, blues, and gospel influences. In the Sun Records era, before drums were regularly incorporated into his recordings, Elvis's driving acoustic rhythm guitar often served as the primary rhythmic anchor. Listen closely to early tracks like That's All Right or Mystery Train. His strumming isn't just background noise, it provides a crucial pulse, a raw energy that propels the songs forward. He often used a thumb and finger-picking style, influenced by the country and blues players he admired, adding a layer of complexity to his rhythm work. He favored large acoustic guitars like his Martin D28, often champed with tooled leather covers bearing his name. While he certainly used the guitar visually as part of his performance, wielding it, leaning on it, striking poses with it, he was actively playing it, contributing significantly to the overall sound. He also used the guitar as a songwriting tool, working out melodies and chord progressions for many of his hits. As his fame grew and his bands became larger and more sophisticated, his guitar playing became less prominent in the arrangements, and he often relied more heavily on his incredibly talented lead players. By the Vegas years, the guitar was sometimes more symbolic than essential to the live sound. However, the foundation was always there. His understanding of the instrument, his innate sense of rhythm, and his ability to fuse different stylistic elements into his playing were crucial ingredients in the musical alchemy that created rock and roll. He wasn't just holding it, he knew how to make it swing. Number 2. He could really play the piano. While the guitar is the instrument most famously associated with Elvis Presley, he was also a surprisingly adept, self-taught pianist. Much like his guitar playing, his piano skills weren't the result of formal lessons, but stemmed from his innate musicality and his deep immersion in the sounds of gospel blues and early rock and roll. He didn't often showcase this talent on stage, especially in his later years, but behind the scenes and on certain recordings, his piano playing added a distinct emotional layer to his music. He learned by ear, picking out melodies and chords on pianos at home, in studios, or wherever he found one available. His piano style was often characterized by simple, heartfelt chord progressions, frequently drawing from the gospel tradition that was so central to his musical identity. He could play soulful ballads, rollicking boogie-woogie tunes, and tender melodies. Several notable recordings feature Elvis himself on the piano. One of the most poignant examples is his emotional performance of Unchained Melody during one of his final concerts in 1977, captured on video. Sitting at the piano, pouring his heart into the song, it's clear this isn't just rudimentary playing. There's a genuine connection between him and the instrument. He also reportedly played the distinctive piano introduction on his recording of Blue Christmas. In the studio, he might sit down at the piano to work out an arrangement or demonstrate a feel he wanted for a song. At Graceland, the piano was a frequent source of informal entertainment and personal expression. Friends recounted numerous occasions when Elvis would spontaneously sit down and play, sometimes for hours, losing himself in the music. He played favorite gospel hymns, current pop songs, or simply improvised, letting the melodies flow. This ability added another dimension to his musical tsugakwait, allowing him to connect with his music on a different level. It wasn't about technical flash. It was about feeling and expression, tapping into the emotional core of a song through the keys, revealing yet another facet of his deep, intuitive musical talent. Number 1. He was a legate karate black belt. Perhaps the most documented, yet still surprising to many, of Elvis Presley's hidden talents was his serious dedication to martial arts, specifically Kenpo karate. This wasn't a fleeting celebrity hobby. It was a lifelong passion that he pursued with intense discipline and dedication, ultimately achieving a high degree of proficiency and rank. His journey in karate began in 1958, while he was stationed with the U.S. Army in Germany. He started training under German Shotokan master Jürgen Seidel and quickly became hooked. Upon returning to the States, he continued his training, seeking out instructors wherever his work took him. His most significant relationship was with Kenpo Grandmaster Ed Parker, considered the father of American Kenpo. Elvis trained extensively under Parker and his associates, including instructor Hank Slemensky back in Memphis. He integrated karate training into his daily life, practicing forms, katas, and techniques diligently, even setting up makeshift dogos on movie sets to keep up his regimen. He saw karate not just as a physical discipline, but also as a mental and spiritual one, embracing its philosophy of respect, control, and continuous improvement. Elvis progressed steadily through the ranks, earning his first-degree black belt in 1960. His dedication didn't wane with increasing fame. If anything, it deepened. He continued training and testing, eventually reaching a remarkable 7th-degree black belt during his lifetime. Posthumously, he was awarded higher honorary ranks, but his earned 7th Dan was a testament to years of genuine effort and skill. He wasn't shy about his passion, often incorporating karate stances, chops, and high kicks into his stage performances from the late 1960s onwards, adding a dynamic, physical edge to his shows. He loved demonstrating his skills, sometimes breaking boards or bricks for friends, or during formal demonstrations. He even co-founded his own karate school in Memphis, the Tennessee Karate Institute. His commitment was such that he often gifted cars, including Cadillacs, to his instructors as tokens of his gratitude and respect. Far from being just another celebrity dabbler, Elvis Presley was a serious, skilled, and highly ranked martial artist, a disciplined warrior hidden within the king of rock and roll,